Prints are great, but why does a same-day photo from a drugstore cost $3 while a fine art print costs $30? Let's find out. The photo we're gonna print is this picture. Ooh, this picture of my dog, because why not? Who doesn't love pictures of dogs? I went to the website for the drugstore to get their image specs. They're kind of funny. They said, you know, for an 8x10 image, which is what we're going to be printing today, it should really be at least 720 by 900 pixels, which seems very small to me. And then, of course, the color space they want is 8-bit sRGB, which again is painful. So I took this 16-bit file. It was a 16-bit Adobe RGB file, which, long story short, is just there's more colors. Switched it to sRGB and I changed it to 8-bit, so now it's not as good as it was, but I'm gonna print this exact same file. So I will send this file to them to have them print, and I will send this file to my printer, so it's fair, and we'll see what happens and how they look. I have this. Here we go. All right, so the moment we've been waiting for, here it is. This is the print from the drugstore. It was made using a dye sublimation printer and was printed on Kodak Moments paper. And here's the print I made using my Canon Pro-4000, printed on Hahnemühle Photorag Baryta paper. I love this paper because it looks a lot like a darkroom C print. So looking at both of these, there's a couple things to compare. The paper type, the colors, the resolution, the permanence, lots of different things. So first off with the paper type. This is a lighter paper, which makes sense. When you use dye sublimation, you have to use a paper that's been prepped for dye sublimation, so you're kind of limited on the papers you can use. It's a high gloss paper. Looks like there's a little bit of texture, but it really reflects the light. This, as I mentioned earlier, is Hahnemühle Photorag Baryta. It's a really beautiful luxury paper. It's heavy, 315 grams per square meter. It has a slight texture and a little bit of a gloss. Now let's talk about the colors and luminance of the print. As you would expect, the cheaper of the two prints is a little muddier, both in luminance values and colors. This is especially evident around the cushions and in the shadows where it looks like there's more cyan and less magenta. In general, there's a bit of a yellow cast across the whole image. This image is a lot clearer and more true to the source file. The next thing I want to talk about is resolution. The dye sublimation printer that was used for this print prints at 300 dpi, which honestly is plenty. It looks good, it's crisp, it's pretty nice. The printer I use has a DPI of 1200. It's even more detailed and crisp than the drugstore print, which you would hope for because you're paying 10 times the price. The last thing is the permanence rating. Dye sublimation used to be the king in permanence for digital prints. If you take care of this photograph, it will not fade for 20 to 50 years, which is really incredible. However, inkjet pigment inks have made huge strides in the last 20 years. And with these pigment inks and this paper, this print will last over 100 years. In fact, depending on the paper and ink combinations you use, some prints can last over 300 years, which is really incredible because then you're talking about generations, not lifetimes. I actually printed out another version in the original color space. This is the most accurate print. Because this printer asked for 8-bit sRGB, I converted this file from Adobe RGB to sRGB, so from 16-bit down to 8-bit. You can tell here in the cinder blocks and here in the cushion that it's just lost some colors. It's become a little bit muddier. Photoshop did its best to convert it, but you can't have a perfect conversion from a higher color profile down to a lower color profile. There's going to be information lost. And then ultimately, depending on the printer you use, the inks, and the paper, you may not get the most faithful color rendition. So we went from a file that looks like this to something that looks like this. Ooh, shaking up. Don't get me wrong, this darkroom print is pretty good. And if you're just printing a picture of your dog, it's probably the right choice. Is getting a fine art print of your dog overkill? Yeah, maybe. Fine art prints are expensive, but they're for the times when you want the best quality. When you have your first gallery show opening and you're going to print your first series of images in large prints. For the first time that one of your friends messages you and says, I really love this picture that you posted. Could I get a print of it? So in addition to the better color accuracy, the high quality materials that you get with a fine art print, you get somebody like me to work with you and help you get from a print that looks like this to a print that looks like this. If this video is giving you the printing bug and you want to start printing yourself, I'm sorry to your bank account, but otherwise, welcome. If you want to subscribe to my YouTube channel, I'm bringing out printing videos every single week. Feel free to hit me up. I love talking about this stuff and I'd love to help you on your journey as you start to learn how to print. And yeah, I'm gonna get back to printing.
Have you ever tried to put your art on the wall but can't seem to get your laptop into a frame? Do your friends want to watch a show instead of letting your picture stay on the television screen forever? Are you tired of using your fingers to zoom into tiny pictures on your phone? Well then, have I got a fantastic previously existing product for you. Photo prints. They're easy to frame. They don't do video. And to zoom in, just get closer. All this and more can be yours.